How much energy does it take to train and run an AI language model? Hello, curious minds. The other night, I was lying in bed thinking about the sheer power of AI language models, like GPT, and it hit me. How much energy does it take to train and run one of these models? And just like that, I was wide awake, picturing massive data centers humming away, processing endless lines of text. Turns out, training and running an AI model is no small feat when it comes to energy consumption. So, let's dive into the nuts and bolts of how much energy it takes to train an AI model and keep it running, and why this has become such a hot topic in terms of sustainability. Training an AI language model is an energy intensive process that takes place in data centers filled with high performance GPUs, which are graphic processing units, or TPUs, which are tensor processing units. These super powerful computers are designed to handle the vast number of calculations needed for machine learning. Training a model involves feeding it enormous data sheets, sometimes terabytes of text data from websites, books, and articles. The model then processes this data over days, weeks, or even months. It's not just a one-time thing. The model goes through multiple rounds of training, refining and tweaking itself until it can perform at its best. Each iteration takes massive amounts of computing power and, by extension, lots of electricity. Let's put some numbers to it. Training a large-scale model like GPT-3, which has 175 billion parameters, requires enormous energy consumption. According to some estimates, training models of this size can consume upwards of 1,287 megawatt-hours of electricity. That's equivalent to the total energy consumption of a household over 120 years. But that's just the training phase. The more complex the model, the more energy it consumes during training. In fact, training a cutting-edge AI model can release over 300 metric tons of CO2, which is roughly the same as the lifetime emissions of 5 average cars. As you can imagine, this has raised concerns about the environmental impact of building these powerful models. But the story doesn't end once the model is trained. Running an AI language model, whether it's generating text, answering questions, or performing other tasks, also requires substantial energy. Every time you interact with the model, your input triggers a chain reaction of computations in a data center somewhere. While running an AI model typically consumes less energy than training it, it's still far from energy-free. Every interaction involves processing power, data retrieval, and continuous communication between servers. For example, Google's AI language model Gemini, when deployed at scale, can consume large amounts of energy every time it processes a search query. In large-scale deployments where thousands of users are interacting with the model at once, the energy consumption adds up. Running an AI model like GPT-3 can require several megawatt-hours of electricity per day, depending on usage. So, why does running these models consume so much energy? One key reason is their sheer size. Modern AI models are enormous, often with hundreds of billions of parameters. This scale means they have to perform an immense number of calculations, which naturally demands a lot of power. Another factor is the infrastructure that they rely on. These models operate in massive data centers that require electricity not only for the servers, but also for cooling systems to keep everything from overheating. Cooling alone can use up a significant share of the energy in these facilities. Finally, there's the issue of constant usage. Models like ChatGPT are in demand around the clock, serving people worldwide. To stay ready for any question at any time, they need to remain powered up continuously, even during periods of inactivity. The energy demands of AI have sparked efforts to reduce the environmental impact of training and running these models. Some companies are turning to renewable energy sources like solar and wind to power their data centers. aiming to offset the massive carbon footprint. For example, Google and Microsoft have made significant investments in renewable energy to power their AI systems. Microsoft even signed a deal to revive the shuttered 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. If approved by regulators, the software maker would have exclusive rights to 100% of the output of the first 20 years of operation for its AI data center needs. Researchers are also working on improving training algorithms to make them more efficient. By optimizing the way models are trained and reducing the number of unnecessary calculations, it's possible to cut down on energy usage without sacrificing performance. So, to answer today's question, training and running an AI language model consumes a staggering amount of energy. Training alone can use as much electricity as a household consumes in over a century, while running the model continuously adds to the total. As AI continues to advance, balancing the need for innovation with environmental sustainability will be key. That's it for today's episode of Midnight Question. I hope you enjoyed this peek behind the curtain of AI's energy consumption. Got more curious questions keeping you up at night? Drop them in the comments, and who knows, your midnight thoughts might just become our next episode. Until next time, stay curious and maybe turn off the lights to save a little energy. I'm Mari, and this is Midnight Question.